Take two, also known as here's one I prepared earlier. Ooh, ooh, a bit of a lag. So I'm going to be showing you how to turn a reference photograph like this into something a bit more vivid and nice and loose. So, and I'll be mostly using transparency colours. So the initial sketch I did in graphite, one of these, a broken off bit of stick. Ooh, where'd the camera go? Where'd the camera go? No, left, down, yeah, that kind of shape. But it's a broken off bit because I like to use the side rather than the end. So very loose sketch. So first thing I notice is, having gone around the corner, this guy comes down to about here. And I notice when it comes around here, it goes to about here. So that's the route of the path. Oh no, in Australia, mustn't say that. This is the line of the path. We've got a tree here, which I just want to get that sense of nice looseness there. So I don't need to know that it's two branches at this stage. This guy, a little bit lower on the picture plane than that bend. And one of the nice things to notice is almost everything feels like it's going that way. So we did it here. Ooh, try not to. There's a nice sense of bushiness here. There's a more substantial bush here. And then we've got stuff going on here. Oh. And oops, don't make it too close to there. Oops, that'll fix it. So, no, it might not look like much, but that's enough of a sketch. And then I'll whip out the paints. I'm going to use this piece of paper as my palette. We still label the features and pretty much everything. Right. The discussion we had involved making this look nice and vibrant. So we've gone for an underpainting in magenta. Oh, make sure you can see everything. Everything. Oh yeah. Right. Magenta. Woohoo. So amusingly, I now pretty much obliterate it. I want a certain level of coverage. I'll stick it on a bit thicker where I want some indication of stuff. Hello, brushes. Will you be my friend? Yeah, you. I'll have you. Where's my tissue? Where's my tissue? Where is my tissue? Yeah, there you are. Right. Actually, when I did this earlier on, I used my biggest brush. I best go have a look in the bucket. I regularly get to joke that people don't come to me to learn how to look after their brushes. Right, so one of the things I love about transparent colours is as soon as you thin them out, so I just want a sense of there's a bit of a tree there, there's a bit of darkness in there, there's another tree there, bit of a flat in there, bit of a darkness there. Okay, I know, right? You can get away with all sorts of stuff with paint. It's great fun. And then I just want a level of coverage because I like it. I mean, because working on white can be in itself cramping of the style, but also because when you've got a certain amount of colour in the background, better change my light angle. Don't want you to think I've missed a patch. Whee. Whee. Right, what was I saying? When you work on a background that has been taken away from white. When you put the white in, it's just way more impressive. So that's my initial stage 1. Stage 2, we get the other colours out. And for this stage, I'm going to try and avoid the white for as long as possible. And we discussed a rather nice combination of colours. Everybody in the class got to pick their own colours based on what they wanted to communicate. I tend to be about the lively and the joy. But I picked phthalo. There's nothing blue in this picture, and I kind of wanted a certain zhuzhiness to the green. And I've got this acrylamide yellow deep, semi-transparent, so a bit of a variation from what I usually go for. This one's my favourite yellow. Wait a second. Get the angle right. Nickel azo yellow. Wonderful transparent colour. In fact, I'm going to show you it because I'm a monster. So I've got my fetish for yellow. Sorry, not my fetish for yellow. I got my fetish for transparent. An opaque colour, when you thin it out, it stays fairly constantly itself until you get it thinner enough, and then at that point it becomes just weak. So it goes solid. With a transparent colour, it goes through a stage, and you've seen a bit with this one, where it becomes just a bit juicier. But nickel azo comes out the tube looking like you've had something that might involve parasites. So it comes out looking like a not particularly nice yellow ochre, and then you thin it, and it just goes like, I don't know how much that comes across on camera, it just goes like stained glass windows. So I might sneak some of that in later. So I've got phthalo turquoise, magenta. Later on I'll be getting out the dioxazine violet. I've got my yellow, that near enough to primary colours. Right, so keeping on the big brush first of all. That big? Yeah, go for it, Nick. Be a laugh. Be a good influence. Yeah. So I'm going to get a bit more of a sense of dark in there. A bit more of a sense of dark in there. I want it grounded. I want a bit of sense of the dark in the bottom of the bushes there. When I've got stuff that's going across, let's see how much you can see. Put the light back over. Yeah, that's a bit better, isn't it? Not catching it too much, just a bit there. Sauce. Ooh, and streaking in. Is that? That's not better. It's not better, Nick. It's not facing. So, put that bush back in there. Finishing a sentence. Yeah. When you've got stuff going across behind something, you're often better off, certainly at this stage, ignoring the thing in the front. So just ignore and then put back in. Sound effects are optional. So a bit of that. A little bit of the thingamajig. So I want a sense of that's pointing around the corner. This bush, this is the bottom of this bush. Oh, you can't see that anymore, can you? Oh, and I can't get closer. Anyway, I'm wanting to get a sense of the bottom of the bush, but I'm not putting the top in the bush. That's going to come in front of these guys later on. Okay, time to start mixing something that looks a bit more green. Wash your brush, Nick. Whoopsies. So, phthalo and lello produces something rather green. So, oh, forget to tell you, if you got one color on the side of the brush and another color on the other side of the brush, just regularly turning your brush over will help sort out some of the lies that it's doing. So I'll just get a certain amount of foliage up there. Oh yeah, definitely time for a smaller brush now. Okay, oopsies. And it's time to get the white out. So when I told you I was going to put off putting the white out, I lied. Hey. Oh, that's a bit dribbly. Just mush it around, mush it around. So I just want to get a certain amount of dibble, dibble, dibble. I'm not too fussed at this stage where anything is. So, wee. Okay. So generally speaking, you want to lighten your greens or your greens with yellow. Having said that, if you're using transparent colors, it's like phthalo, it's already going to be very dark, so you might need a little bit of white in there. Oh, not that much. More yellow. So if I start sticking a bit of that in there, just grind it off. So, and a bit darker on the other side. Really not being precious at this stage. More about getting the coverage. Just soften every edges off. Okay. So as we go into the background, and generally speaking, I'd do the background from the start rather than afterwards, but it's early in the painting, I can get away with stuff because I know I'm coming back on over. I just want to green it up, blue it up a bit. Stuff as you go back into the distance tends to lose some of the yellow and lose some of the red and become a bit more minty. Having said that, I kind of wanted a bit more violet. There's some real kind of lovely misty morning stuff going on. So I've got this nicely grayed off green. I'm just going to ignore where the plants are and just dabble it all over the shop. I'm also ignoring some of where the sky holes are because I just need a level of coverage at this stage. So I need a level of extra darkness. So phthalo turquoise and magenta bizarrely produce this wonderful purple, which, given how green leaning phthalo turquoise is, kind of doesn't make sense in a kind of color theory way, but seems to get away with it. Weirdly. So need water wall. Oh, just knock that over. Give me some space. Give me some space. Who in my space? You don't need to see me working through my issues, do you? So a bit more. Oh, lies. Beautiful. So so I'm making a kind of turquoisey green, but then I'm calming it down with a bit of my magenta, which is acting as my red in this picture. Not that much. Tell you what, let's go. Some of this is actually quite rich. So here. Bit more. So, right, footpath. Stick in the footpath. Now the footpath is quite pink. I want to get that sense. When we had our discussions, we decided almost everybody was in agreement with the idea that this sense of going around the corner was what it's all about. So I'm going to finesse things in this area and try and lead your audience around so there's a desire for the journey. And one of the ways we do that, oopsies, I can't stick out the nickel laser. One of the ways we do that is we start with where we want people to land in the picture. Now this is an alteration. When I did the demo, I did quite late on in. So we start nice and light here. Okay, and as we go around the corner, we kind of pink and orange it up a bit. So, whoa, nom 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 nom. Yellow brick road, yeah. Oops, not that yellow. Got a bit of time to fix it, so no worries. So, one of the other things was, when you're making a path, it's actually really useful to make the path with these kind of sideways brushes where you're using the brush the narrow way around as you go there, and you can turn it this way around when you're closer to. Works for water too. If you do this with your brush strokes, you will lose a sense of path and it will look like it's standing up. So for example, if I go and do that, yes, I get the shape of the path, but you suddenly see it actually looks like it's kind of stood up and it just doesn't feel real. So fix that with a bit of the dibble dibbles. Dibble dibble. Dibble, dibble, dibble. Got carried away. So when you're in the path, it's quite nice to notice how the path is relatively flat. I mean, it's got its kind of two grooves, and we can make something of that if we want to, though it's not massively important. But as we go up into the banks of the grass around it, we actually want our brush strokes kind of coming down to meet. And then that'll get the sense of this having been a groove that has been carved into the grassiness. So, and we make sure that when we have our tones, our light and dark, the light of the path and the darkness of the thingy, that it's not too solid a transition. So we've got shrubbery. So, so, oopsies. Getting a bit precious around the tree. Don't do that, Nick. You know better. You know better. So we wanted something a bit minty. We decided we liked minty earlier on. Give that a fresh kind of spring feeling. Having said that, just calm it down because we want it fresh, but we don't want it ridiculous colours. So just greying it off with a bit of the magenta. It's quite nice. So ignore where the tree is for now. And stick some of that in. So there's a lovely, one of the things about these kind of tea tree, I'm assuming they're tea tree things, is actually the bark gets quite pink. And when you've got lots of branches, they themselves are also quite pink, but a dirty pink. So we want to get a sense of some of that going on. Right, let's start getting some extra pink up there just to give, and this isn't something I did earlier on, but I'm just gonna, because I'm seeing things differently now, I just want to get a sense of some of the sky in here. But I'm seeing and I'm appreciating the pinkness at the edges of this now in a way that I wasn't before. Well, I noticed it before, but I didn't really value it earlier. So this is where we get to do some negative painting with and kind of put in some branches. That's not true. Where did that go? Where did that go, Nick? I'll tell you what, I'll come back to that in a minute. Here. I want to patch a light in there. Actually, before I go any further, as you know, you can't make primary colours, but you can pretend. So one of my things is I really like to make like an ultramarine-ish like blue. It's not, but I really like to make them out of phthalo blue and dark-green violet. Now phthalo turquoise is further away, but it makes a really nice muted blue. So I've got my Daxazine Violet, Carbazole, whatever you want to call it. I've got my phthalo, I've got a smaller brush. It's getting serious. So these boys together, they will not produce a proper blue. But if you've got no proper blue on the canvas, they will look kind of blue enough. So that's kind of blue enough. Now the sky is obviously nearly white, but we're not being necessarily too literal, so we can snick it over into slightly blue. So it's kind of a nice powder blue. Right. There comes the point where you can make stuff up, by the way, just in case you didn't already know. Like I said, I will not be teaching you how to look after paintbrushes. Nothing to see. Good enough. Right, a little bit more. So a few of these. Doobie boo, bum bum poo, peedy boo boo, doobie doobie boo, doobie boo, dum dum dee poo. Right, what's going on there? Right, I'm getting a bit lost in there, so I'm going to leave it alone for a bit and then start coming forward with this stuff. So, oh, it's gone a bit dribbly there. I better fix that. One of the things I'll notice that was nice earlier on is, although I did it with pure magenta, is just how some of these branches have a sense of purpliness to them at the edges, pinky purpliness to them at the edges. So I'll just get a few more things anchored in. I'm going to ignore branches where branches are, just so I can get the thrust of a thing. Oops, nice sense of that one going there. That's not true. Put that one over there. That one there. Tell you what, soften some of those edges off. Brain. Okay, let's get a bit more green in here. Green, yippee! Woohoo! Okay, going for a version of green that does not occur naturally in nature. Oh yeah. Oh, I want a bit more yellow in that. Okay. Oops. It's nice how if you've got a little bit of the pink kind of still poking out, it kind of helps give a sense of the mud at the edge of the path as well, which is not how you think it would work. But yeah. Right, let's find out what's going on here. Do a bit of that. Do a bit of that. Okay. So, certain amount of license going on here. So one of the things I showed earlier on, and it is far too early in the picture to do this, I didn't bother putting that branch in, but I showed how to put down a certain amount of colour and then either just flick up, or I got my comb brush. I put that amount of paint on a bit too thick. But comb brush, or both of these are by Neve, or the fan brush. So fan brush, or the comb brush. This one's had a hard life. Oh, I've just remembered something my mum said. My mum said, you'd be better off if they couldn't see you the entire time. You'd be better off spotlighting that video. Stop video. Is it not giving me the option? Why is it not giving me the option? Me. Okay. I was going to be clever. No, I'm not. Anyway, back in the room. So with a fan brush or the comb brush, very lightly, because if you do this heavily, it just becomes a flat or a filbert, depending which type you've got. If you just tickle it, you can grab the paint and you can get that sense of grassiness. So a bit of that. I want a bit more of a, oh, that was the point. Earlier on, I did lots more stuff with my brush wiggling around. Oh, I've got a bit of pink in there. That's good. So, here. Bit more joy in there. That's nice. So, I want that sense of there's more light on this path, on this side of the path. And actually, one of the nice things I'm seeing is some of this stuff down here. Yeah. So, it's actually quite pink. So just make sure it's not too wet. So if you're doing a clump of grass, it can be okay to put a flat bottom on it and then whip it up. And as you go into the background, the height at which you go to should be smaller. Should put a few. I'm just going to put a few of that on. Too dark, but hey. So, so bit of that. Yeah. So, deedable. Right. Okay. Bit of a break from that. What next? I want a bit more sense of shrubberyness around there. And then I'll show you what I did to make us go around the corner. So this is stuff I didn't bother with this morning. Oh, that's too yellow. Bit more pink. Oh, it's nice and rich actually. You don't actually want it that colour, Nick. Okay. I'm going to get a start of sense of this. Okay, so the thing I did to make us go around the corner is I started off with a lie. I made an orange, which is not there. And then I basically outlined this bush. Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. Nom nom nom. Yum 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 yum. Oh yeah, that was supposed to be in front. Oh well, it's gone now. So put that in all there. Might as well take it up a bit further. So complete lie. But we're not into art in order to do a photograph. We are into art to tell people our reality. Shortly after we've taken the medication. So phthalo and white's going to produce a nice minty green. And then I'm going to pull it back from that with a bit of yellow. But I want to keep it quite minty because I want that contrast. Did I put anything else in it earlier? Yeah, we'll find out. So I've got loads of paint on my brush because this stuff's already wet. So there's going to be a limit to how much I can cover it properly without getting mucky, but I'm going to go for it anyway. So, yeah. So here. So not too careful. I don't just want an outline. So a bit of that, and then go for it. And a bit of that, bring it forward. So okay, and then I want to get the grounding at the bottom of it again. So I'll make a darker. So make some of that. And one of my fetishes or one of my beliefs is the last paintbrush that goes on comes forward. So at the moment, this dark is coming forward from this light. So I need to put that light back on. I'll put a bit more yellow in there. So you can see how you can then push that stuff back into the undergrowth. If you want, it's not true, but if you wanted to, you could get a sense of stickiness in there with the wrong end of your brush. Okay, but now I want, oops, I don't actually want that level of texture there. E, so what do I want? I want to get a sense of the grass coming in front of this. More of that. Oh, it's gone a bit off green, hasn't it? That's not green enough. Make some proper green, Nick. Oh, nice and rich. Oh, yum yum. This is no longer true. So, get more Lalo in that. I'm using my nickel laser now. Mix that with a bit of white because it behaves quite well with white. I might need to get some of the other boy out. So, stick and load on. And I'm starting to get into the thicker paint territory because I want to be drawing the audience's attention to certain places now. So start at the back, come forward. Okay. A little bit of mirroring. Just freshen that bit up again. Okay. Right, a bit lost in it now. So let's go back and have a little think. Get my Bunnings brushes out. Okay, oops, don't get paint on the chair. Right, let's have a look. So, oh, you've gone off angle. Right, so now I'm going to start putting in a bit more of the solidness of the trees because I want to know where they are. And I'm going to put them in darker than they are because I want to be able to bring certain things about them forward. Oopsies. But not that dark. This, as it goes up, we can get it more pink. Yeah. Got this guy coming across. Just going to go for it now. Okay. So, right, naughty Nick. The reason I say naughty Nick is because my foliage is a very different tone from that. And one of the nice things to note about how foliage and branches go to one another, they tend to be quite similar in tone and often also quite similar in colour. I'm being a bit slack now because there's certain things I don't need to be rigorous about because we won't have the photograph in front of us when we look at this. I don't actually like that. There's a tree here, I don't want it. But I do quite like these guys that kind of point towards this kind of junction. I'm not happy with this bush yet. You don't need to know my issues. But you might need to know my process. So let's say it's all educational. So I'm just going to put a bit more of this pinky stuff as pretend foliage. I need to get this boy in a bit more. Oops. Going to need some more magenta soon. So I just want a sense of darkness here for that shrubbery. quite like there's a little bit of stuff there. Okay. Okay, how are we looking? Pretty atrocious. Oh well. Educational. So, time to put some more sky in. Let's... Oh, my brush is a bit sticky now. Wee. So I guess this is a clear painting medium. Oh, I've got a cup of tea. I like tea. Imagine the sound effects from that are not great. Oops. Spread it around. Get some more white out. So nail in some more sky holes. There's some paying attention to this and there's some making it up. I'll tell you what, get a darker version as well. So if you start messing around with things, you can every now and then stick in a darker version and then cut it back out again and get that sense of, you can get some real subtle branches going on if you do that. Right, this was not this harsh earlier. No, it was. Okay. Don't want that level of contrast. So knock it down, Nick. Knock it down with pinkness. Okay. Have a little breathe. Okay. Feels a bit lost at the moment. But I quite like that colour, so whilst I got that colour, let's bring some of these guys forward. You need some more white and magenta. More magenta. Whee! More white. One of the useful things about demonstrating like this is you get to see that you're allowed to go through stages where it's maybe there's bits of it that look like a bit of a mess. And your job is not to have it look beautiful all the way through. Oops, that's a dirty brush. Dirty brush. Naughty, dirty brush. The temptation to get quite small already is strong. Right, before I do much more, I want to get this sense of path back in. Obviously it's not gone, but I just want it to be a little bit more welcoming and a little bit. So I'm going to need to go over it so that it's got that sense of going round the corner. Because if I just do my brush strokes like this and try and go up to that, I will end up with brush strokes that look a bit, well, partly because it's so bright, but also partly because I've stopped at this edge. It'll look a bit weird. Oh, I've got a flake of paint on there from my handle. So instead, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to whack it through there and quite conveniently pick up some of the oranginess in the process. So, and then add extra level of light. Whoopsies, nothing to see. So, here we go. So, blending tool, hey. Oh, have I got it? Have you got that bottom corner? Yeah, no. So one of the things I learnt from Kathy Hamilton is the trick to check if a composition is working is to close your eyes and then open them. See where your eyes land and see where they go. Now I want in this picture for your eyes to land here and go here. So I need this to be pretty much the lightest, most even patch. And I need that one as we go around to be an area of light, but also an area of detail. So I'm going to lighten up this patch a bit further. I'm going to use some of that goo to spread it around. Spread it around. So a certain level of evenness. Oops. Oh, that brush is too wet. Oops. Right, dry brush. Dry enough brush. Not dry enough brush. They can hear you, you know. Oh yeah, sauce. Right, so as we go around the corner, we want to get a bit more detail in there and a bit more texture and some of this warmth. So that draws you straight in. I'll just do a little bit more and I'll deliberately go over that edge. Okay, so let's start sticking some trees in there properly. Before I do that, just nail that back in. So readable. Just for continuity, I might stick it a little bit underneath there. Cool. Okay, and then oopsies, a little bit more mintiness. So oops. More minty. Yeah. Woo. So okay. Not true, but we don't mind. Okay. Feels like the contrast level there is a bit too strong. Is that just an act of... Oh, it's because of that, isn't it? Okay, a bit more yellow in there and a bit more light. Yeah, okay. So really whacking on that sense of this is in the light now. So I put on the strokes, just put a bit more in there. I just want to get that sense of the grass goes behind that tree, but then ground it again. You know what, I'm just going to obliterate that bit. Okay. And then whip out any old flat, not flat. Oh, that's not what you are. Oh, you'll do. I was going to say comb, but I found another fan brush. So, so working from the back again, and then coming forward. Need to whack a bit more paint on there. So just mound it. So I hope this is starting to feel like these colours are bringing you round and bringing you hope. Okay, I might just put a little bit of this as a kind of, ooh, I didn't realise I got that much yellow on. But yeah, oh yeah. Kind of don't care that it's a lie. Hey. Me. There's actually quite a bit of a lump there, but I won't deal with that right now. Anyway, back in the room. So, time to start sticking this boy on. Now, I'm going to start with the branch at the back. There's this branch that goes around the back and is the darkest one. And I want that flow in order to get the sense of things. Oh, I was normally doing this bush first because I want to also get that sense of these guys as well. So, and whilst it's still wet, oh, this isn't going to be true, but I'm just going to make stuff up now. While it's still wet, in order to get that sense of these guys being in front, I'll get this a little bit lighter. Oops, not that one light. And put this guy in front and obliterate the texture that that brushstroke had left. Have a little breathe and do the same with this one. Okay, that's a bit light, but hey, we're going to pick up other paint, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, that's a bit straighter than I'd like. So, oopsies. Again, ignoring whatever's in front because we can finesse that later. So, put the highlight on it. Okay, so now that we've got the general sense of trunkiness, and whilst it's still wet, I want to be putting lighter versions of this in there. And I want to be taking, oh, dribbly, so dribbly. And I want to be taking advantage of expressing whilst it's in the wet of the kind of twist on this thing. So I'm not going to leave it. Oops, is that catching too much? Just do a bit manual zoom for you. Oh, or not. I've put some way stronger lines than they need to be. They're much lighter, but I've done it to show a point. I could actually leave them like that and then glaze them later. Right. So because it's still wet, the fact that it's too light is not an issue because I can fuss it. And when I fuss it, on this occasion, and it's not often you get to say this, but on this occasion, it fixes it. Yeah. Edible. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Horrible. Horrible. Right. Okay. I'm getting marks that look like I'm almost using a round instead of a flat. Okay. So get off the excess and then soften it off a bit. Doesn't need that much detail in it. Just gently touch it up. Whoa. Readable. Right, next. And whilst I've got this colour on it, I kind of want a bit of that going on in here. Well, not that light. I don't need it to actually be to land, as it were. So I'm using a flat at the moment. And I'm starting at that end of the stick, and I really shouldn't. When you start at that end of the stick, you tend to have a pigment dump and then it tails off, whereas actually what you actually really want is you want to be pulling it that way. So that'll do for now. Right, I've gone very pink, haven't I? Quite like it, but I don't really want it. I just want it a bit grayer. So a bit grayer. Oops. So if it's too pink, the antidote is green. How about that? That's too green, but we can work with it. Right, what next? Okay, I'm getting lost again. So we've got a sense of them bringing you around, and I could probably do to get a sense of the pink going into the green of the foliage, but subtly. This is too small a brush. Yippee! So just soften off some of this stuff. Oh, I didn't want to soften that bit off. Oh, and this brush isn't doing what I want to do. I have not looked after this brush. And now this brush is not looking after me. Right. I should probably give the lesson about the importance of taking breaks. Anyway. I'll make a bit more sky colour and see what we can pump in. Just, oh, that's on a funny angle. Accept. Okay. Right. So, oops. Despite fact. Right, proper sky colour now. So, a bit of phthalo, bit of purple, a lot of white. Mix it around, smush it. Right, let's have a look. So, concentration phase. Yeah, just obliterate that one. Tell you what, let's just stick a nice big lump of light in there. Okay. Okay, so. Okay. I'm wanting to go in there, and that's not true. And there are levels at which I care when it's not true. Okay. Readable. A little bit of. Ideally, I should use a filbert for this job. I want some soft dabby dabbies. Okay. Right. Next. Dabby dabby. So, this is when we get to the fussy fuss part. So we start nice and loose, and then we start paying more attention as we go along. Well, we're paying attention throughout, but we can get away with a certain amount of stuff early on, especially if we use our paint nice and thinly. Now I'm doing this repeatedly because I want to blend in that magenta so I can get a nice soft edge. Nom nom nom. A bit similar on the other side. Oops, I went too far. Ah well. It's not like me. I know, right? So, but it's starting to give the piece a bit of life now that we're getting some light in there. And actually some of this light coming around the corner can also help. I'm just going to pull some of this back because some of it's excessive. I know, I was going for subtle. Don't tell anyone. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Breathe. Yeah. Okay. And right, let's have a look at that. Yeah, it's all right. I'm going going to call it quite soon, but I'm just going to put some finessing on this one. Right. I want him a bit more purple. A bit more muted than these pink boys. Having said that, I do want a bit more of that sense of he's going up over there. Nom nom nom. Oh yeah. Yeah, I fixed it. Put it back in. Right, that is too light. Hey, I can rest on it now. Oh, things to love about acrylic, part 3. Right, I did not show this level of being anal earlier on today. Might be why they're still talking to me. Right. Oops. Annie? You're going to do that tree, Nick. What are you doing this bit for? Okay. Hey. Oops. Nothing to see. Yeah, good enough. Right. Okay. This boy. Yeah. There's a bit of a lag there. Right. When you say you're going to do something, Nick, it's time to do it. Yeah. Right. Little breathe. So there's some stuff going vertically in behind here. I do need to cover some of this pink up because some of this pink is going to draw you out the picture. In fact, I can see on screen as well already that it kind of glows and kind of draws you in. Just give that a bit of a push back again. I need to get some of that. Jeez. I need some of the, oh, not like that. Ah, don't worry about it, Nick. Kind of like how that pinky purpley goes in with that. Oops. Finger painting when you've already got paint on your fingers is not always the effect you are looking for. Yeah. If you need to go over a patch, it's often a good idea just to accept it and then put the other stuff in front back over. Having said that, sometimes it's really nice to do a kind of clever cut in. Let's see if it'll work this time. You really can't see that. I'm fussing over stuff that doesn't matter. I know, right? Right, tree. Do the bloody tree, Nick. So there's light on this side. There's light on this side. The guy in front is a lot lighter than that and generally covering up more area. So let's stick his purple back on so that we've got some nice wet paint to work in. Oh, nom 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 nom. Let's make that a little bit softer. Not that soft. Oh, this branch doesn't come that far down. It does now. Don't put it on yet, Nick. You're going to paint over it. Okay, so one of the things we decided was this was a rather feminine scene because it flows and it's soft and it's welcoming. So I'm really pumping the pink of the forest. Oh, that sounds way worse than I meant it to. So put that stuff back on first, Nick. So I'm going to do some scratchy. I'm just going to obliterate this section for a second. So I've got my coverage on behind. Oops. So, need it light enough. Is that? Yeah, I'll do. So, scratchy, scratchy, scratch, scratch. So, there's just no point painting around. Okay, and a bit of that. And just, I know where he is, so I can bring him back. How much more foliage? I want a bit more up there. Oh, a bit enthusiastic, you know. In fact, actually, that dry brush effect makes it feel a bit windswept and interesting. Hey, I can put some of those sky holes back in a mo. Right, back we go. Right, tree. There we go. Ooh, ooh, you're not that colour. Ooh. So, okay, so that's that one for now. Oopsies. We don't want too much pink towards the edge of the canvas, but yeah. And we don't want parallel edges either. Let's go fix that. Okay. Let's stick this guy in front with his pink edges. So it becomes more of a way of leading your audience round. And it's quite nice to pay attention to how junctions happen on trees. So we bring it forward. How long have I been going for? Oh, an hour and 20. Well, yeah. Eat a ball. Eat a ball. So the twist and the flick. Put that one back in a little bit. Put some of these boys back in a bit more. Well, I'm going to have to put the grey back on. A bit more of that. Okay. Whilst you got, ooh, mix it, Nick. Mix it. So that almost sounds like somebody's knocking at my door. Hey. Too much paint on your brush. Knock it off. Just make sure it's on the tip. Eee. Whoopsies. Oh, that's way too bright. Ah, well, stick some other brightness in it. So so you've got to be careful with bright patches and detail, because bright patches and detail draw your attention. So I will need to fix a bit of that. Just knock it down a bit. Right. What's going on there? Right, there's a bit too much yellow in there. Put that back on again. So a more muted orange now. Put the stuff back on, and then I think you've officially suffered enough. Eee, don't do that, Nick. Minty, but not that minty. Oh, that's not true. I want to do it though. I want to do it. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. So a bit of that. Okay. Bit of that just to tone that tree down, because greeniness is the antidote to readiness. Okay. And I could finesse this for hours, but you won't want to watch that. So that's basically how I tackle a subject like that. She says, oh, I want to fix some of those sky holes. But you do not need to see me playing with my mental health. So I will finish it there, and I hope that is informative. I didn't tell you when I'd gone from stage 2 to stage 3, from the block-in to the detail finesse. So sorry. I hope that was useful, enjoyable, and round 2 for the one I prepared earlier. Thank you and good night. End it.